each one of these spikes in volume just simply shows that in that period of time, there was a higher volume there was a higher amount of shares traded in that particular week than the weeks surrounding that.
This is the How to Trade Stocks and Options podcast, brought to you by 10MinuteStockTrader.com, where we cover finance, stocks, options, entrepreneurship, education, and money. And here's your host, voted one of the top 100 people in finance, Christopher Uhl. Today's episode is produced in partnership with TrendSpider. Get scanning, charts, backtesting, and alerts all in one place with TrendSpider. Go to trendspider.10MinuteStockTrader.com to get an exclusive discount code and bonuses worth over $100 when you take your free trial at trendspider.10MinuteStockTrader.com. Hey, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time we give you more tools, tips, and tricks to help you trade faster and trade smarter every single week.
Hey everybody, this is Jake, and we are going to go over another topic in the video technical analysis series that we are running at TrendSpider. And in this particular video, we are going to answer the question, what is volume? And to really answer that question, we need to know what type of chart we're looking at. And what I mean by that is, if we're looking at volume as a function of price, which we have on the left, or volume as a function of time, which we have on the right. So on the left-hand side, we have the 2-hour chart of Disney, and what we can see here is the volume bars are on the right-hand side here, and what each one of these volume bars represents is the amount of shares holding at that particular price range. So in this case, you can see here, we've got the width of this volume bar is 50 cents, and we know that because the top of the volume bar is 144.56, the bottom of the volume bar is 144.06, so we know that this particular volume bar is measuring that 50 cent increment. So what you can see here is at each 50 cent increment, you can see how much volume is holding at that particular level. So in this case, from around 148.50 to 148, we can see that there is quite a bit of volume holding in this particular area. Hence why we're probably finding some support here, because there's a ton of people holding in this general area and there's not a lot of supply causing the price to drop any further. So the nice thing about this is you can see where that volume is in a supply or demand zone, whether the volume is above the price, that would be a supply zone, whether the volume is below that price would be a demand zone where there's a lot of volume holding. And so you can see kind of where price may gravitate towards. Now on the right hand side, you can see volume as a function of time, which means that the volume is actually shown on the bottom here because the x-axis is the amount of time that we're looking at. So in this case, rather than the volume bar being the increment of price, this volume bar is an increment of time. In this case, we're looking at a weekly candle, so each one of these particular bars represents 1 week of volume. So the number of shares traded in that particular week. So rather than the shares traded at that particular price, we're focusing on the number of shares traded in that particular week. Or let's say we're looking at the 30-minute candle, the number of shares trading in that particular amount of time, that 30-minute increment. The nice thing that's really cool that you can do on TrendSpider is the ability to move your volume by price. So when we talk about volume as a function of price, the indicator that we're going to be using here is volume by price, or the volume profile, or some people call this the VPVR. And so what you can do here is you can actually move where you want this point to start. So this dashed line here, that's where we're starting the volume profile. So anything to the right of this dashed line is going to be counted in as volume. So you can see here that there's literally no volume from 134.25-ish all the way up to 136.25. And that's because you can see that there's a gap in price here from the November 8th close to the November 7th to November 8th close, which was earnings, I think. And then you can see here, if we move this over, now you'll see something different. You'll see that there is a slight volume bar within this range that we were just talking about, that there was no volume. And that's because we're taking into account this price action as well. And you can see this price action definitely did participate within this range. Now, once we move this over again, that volume disappears because there's no longer any volume in this area at all. You can see here, it's completely empty. There's no price action from this particular October 31st anchoring point. So anchoring is really important. It can really be used in many different ways. The way that I personally have found some success anchoring is really anchoring from a point where you're starting a trend, whether that's to the upside or the downside, whether you're reversing from a specific point. Let's say that you're, this particular area right here, maybe I want to start the volume profile from this big move down, and then we can see, from July 29th, a lot of the volume is kind of holding in this 133s and 137s, but you can see there is quite a bit of volume in the 145s, mid 145 areas here. I have 147 highlighted here, but it's really from about 149 to about 146 is where we have that next kind of blip of volume. So to answer your question, volume is really dependent on whatever type of chart you're looking at, whether the chart is a function of price, i.e. volume by price, volume profile, VPVR, or volume as a function of time, where you're really just looking at where volume has a spiked at a specific time period. In this case, we're on the weekly chart, so you can see each one of these spikes in volume just simply shows that in that period of time there was a higher volume, there was a higher amount of shares traded in that particular week than the weeks surrounding that. So that is how you can really dissect how volume is visualized on the chart. I hope this helps, and please make sure to comment below if you have any questions, and make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.
I've written a short guide on how you can use the Triple Stock Profit system. It's the secret weapon every investor needs right now to change your financial future, and you can get it for free by visiting triplestockprofits.com or in the links below. Also, if you want to join a community of traders just like you can get free access to the elite membership that has even more resources to help you trade faster and trade smarter. Hey, if you like this video, let me know by leaving me a like below, and then subscribe and share it with somebody you think could use it as well. Be sure to comment below with your biggest takeaway from this episode and any suggestions you have for future episodes. And finally, make sure you watch these other videos to help you trade faster and trade smarter, and I'll see you on the next episode.